So you said just before something about rigging the system, and I actually want to quote what he said because it was a pretty powerful statement that he said. He said, Ketchmark said, he is in alignment with the DOJ and wants change to the buyer commission. He wants to get NAR out of rigging the system, and he thinks this is a real opportunity for change. Mm-hmm. So yes, there's a lot of money involved here, but he is looking for change. That's the big question here. What will change? We're waiting to hear what the judge is going to come back with at this point.
Right, and it could come where the injunctive relief is granted, and they call it the prayer for relief. And I mean, realtors may not even have a prayer, no pun intended, after this. And I'm one of them, and you are too. So it's been 2 weeks.
The DOJ doesn't want buyer commission to be optional. You know, so let's just talk about that. So like in the beginning, for those who don't know, realtors know, but a lot of times the public does not know, that there was a requirement for cooperation. That's what the whole MLS was built upon. That's what NAR was all about.
And what do you mean by cooperation?
So as a listing agent would take a listing and then they would cooperate with the buyer agent. So in other words, a listing agent goes on a listing appointment for 123 Main Street. They have a listing agreement between the listing agent and the seller, and they take it for X amount of a commission, and then they cooperate with the buyer agent and then offer compensation. They offer to share the commission that is in that listing agent's agreement. And cooperation is what kept NAR strong, NAR being the National Association of Realtors. You know, we all cooperated with each other. So we were never really competing so much. We would compete once when we went on the listing. And then once someone got the listing, then it was opened up to everyone to have the opportunity to sell that listing. And that air of cooperation is what is now in jeopardy, because it was a requirement at one point that you had to put something in. And now there's no compensation that's being offered for cooperation. So, you know, we can go back and forth and say cooperation is separate from compensation, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is that there was usually compensation that was put in, and there was a requirement. Even if it was a small amount, you had to put something in order for it to go into the MLS. That is no longer required.
When you say "in," you means the MLS.
The MLS listing, yes.
So that was called the clear cooperation policy, which required offer of compensation in addition to really the offer of the requirement to cooperate is really held in the license law, but the obligation to offer compensation was in the clear cooperation policy.
Yeah, for the MLS.
Think about what really went on here. I mean, let's just take this.
Let's just keep talking about this cooperation, because first it was a requirement. Now they're saying it's optional, right? So it's an optional cooperation. So maybe we can put it in, maybe we don't have to. So now as a listing agent, I no longer have to offer anything. I can put in 0 for the compensation for the cooperating broker. So follow that for a second. Now what Rebney did was they said cooperation would be in violation. So you could not put any kind of compensation in that space at all. It's a violation if you do so. And
Rebney is the real estate board of New York, and they got ahead of this by saying, listen, we see where things are going. We believe in the abolition, and it served their interest anyway, but let's not get into that. They just simply said by New Year's Day, there's no more offer of compensation that can be made. It's what they call illegal.
No more offer of compensation at all. Like, it's not even an option. You cannot put it in there. That's really a big deal.
It's no longer an option between the brokers. They gave, I don't want to get into this either, the clunky process, or the parties could somehow negotiate through their agents, which is different than the agents taking it upon themselves.